Everything is about perspective. Understand that there is no right and wrong, there is perspective.
People will judge everything that you're gonna do.
Why are you spending energy on these people? You cannot change people, you cannot control people.
She told me actually things are kind of always a bit personal.
At the end of the day, we all have problems. It's just the way you deal with them that actually makes you happier or more frustrated.
The way people behave is never about you, but it's always about others when you think about it. We are all self-centered. The way of dealing with assumptions is like, okay, I actually need to have a conversation with the person instead of making movies and starting to literally freak out, because when you stop imagining,
You always imagine the worst scenario. 90% of the things you were thinking about were not true.
I tell you, you feel really stupid. One of the hardest things is to accept without giving up.
So guys, we lost one soldier.
We lost one soldier. It's really critical. What happened to the soldier?
It's really critical. Unfortunately, we lost Wen in our ride.
Yeah,
But he's not lost. He stays with us forever. Also,
in
all
our
the
heart,
input
in our heart.
in our heart, and also the input. We didn't look. He didn't die. Like he's alive.
Thank God, man. Thank God.
But he's just not here to do the episodes with us. But he stays in our hearts, as always.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Wen is a busy person, so yeah.
Exactly. And we respect his goals, his values, and everything. And it was an amazing ride we had with him to
Yeah.
start this as well.
Much love to him.
Much love to Wen.
But then today is
Yes.
another day.
Today is another day.
Today is another day.
Life goes on, right?
And what is happening in life?
What is a lot is happening in life nowadays. So today we're gonna talk about perspectives.
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 Yeah, what we realized with Raul, so we're just talking before the podcast, is like we often take things like quite personal, but like you, I, but everyone right around us.
Everyone takes things personally. Everyone.
And so many times is that you just change the way you see things and you realize it's not so much about you, you know? The way people behave is so much about them, and the way we actually perceive things depends on, from where you look at it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think like we all are kind of programmed to take everything in and personally and be like, nah, man, what you did to me, no way you did this to me, you know, no way. And I think the closer you are to people, to your partner, to your friends and whatever, you think things even more personal. Right?
The harder it gets.
The harder it gets to be like, I shouldn't take this personally, you know?
Yeah.
But if someone is mad at you in the streets, you kind of also take it personally, you know?
Everything,
like,
man.
Exactly, because you're like, you're having a good day. It's sunny outside. And then someone's like, yeah, but you are an idiot. And you're like, what? You are an idiot,
You're an
you know? But actually, that makes you more of an idiot to engage in this
Yeah,
conversation, right?
And I think we all know it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
We all know that, but still, man, the guy is scratching something inside of you.
Scratching your ego. Like, I'm not an idiot, man.
And you're like, if I don't reply to this, does that mean I accept this? Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like silence is kind of agreement.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And as soon as you go into this spiral, I think, man, you're full speed, you know?
You're full speed on anything. And I think you spend so much energy on taking things personally, you know? Like, which is actually not worth it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all fun in games because me and Luke are talking about this. But how did we come to this realization, Luke?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a few experiences right on the way.
Exactly. And a few books.
Yeah. This is funny, you know, like just before, we can talk about the books and everything and the experiences. But what made me like, I think what brought us here initially is the fact that, we took things personally. We still sometimes take, you know, and you realize that, I don't know, on my end, I realize that I kind of struggle with that, you know, and this is painful, right? When someone tells you you're an idiot and you believe it, I tell you, you feel really stupid. You feel really stupid. And I don't know, for example, when you grow up, you know, you when you are in school and you are with other kids, man, everyone, like when you are in a class of like 30 people, everyone will like, there are so many events that actually gonna push you to take things personally, you know?
So many events.
People will judge everything that you're gonna do. And
Yeah.
if you don't manage to actually detach from this, then you're gonna live the life that, the teacher is gonna tell you to live, or that the other kids are gonna tell you to live.
So you're gonna live for others,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And that's not what we want, man.
And then you go through this and you're like, man, like, what the fuck is happening, right?
Right, yeah. I think for me, it was that realization that when I moved here, a lot of people were like unfriendly, you know, the whole time. And I was like, what did I do to you to be so unfriendly? Like, I'm literally like just trying to do groceries, man. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I don't even want to do anything, you know? And like, then it was because I was speaking too loud, or I was doing this and I was doing that. And I just thought, like, these people always have something to say about me, you know? Like, why, you know? I was like, am I that wrong? You know? Just because I want to just be and be myself, right? And then I came to the realization, actually, like, they're like this because they were educated that way. Because they were domesticated that way, and because that's their beliefs, you know?
And how do you detach from that then?
That's when I... That's when I came across this book, very good book. Everyone should read this book. I recommend it to maybe my whole friends group. I think everyone
people can hear it anymore.
People cannot hear about this book anymore. And in this book, it is written that you shouldn't take anything personally. Anything. So it is even written that even if someone is pointing a gun at you and is ready to kill you, you shouldn't take it personally.
Because it's not about you. That's what the guy.
Because it is not about you. Yeah. This guy is pointing a gun at you because he has his own reasons. I'm not saying they're good reasons, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's not good to point guns at anyone. Don't do that, you know? But he has his own reasons, his own perspective, his own things that made him be like that and do that action in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And when you read that, you're like, nah, this guy... What do you mean? I was like, I should stop reading this book, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, this book is wrong. It cannot be like this.
This is crazy, right?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So we both read it with Raul, and we're going to put it in the description.
We're going to put in the description, guys, yeah. I would like to know everyone's opinion as well.
It's called the 4 agreements. There are like 4 agreements, and that's what you explained before. It's like, we have been raised with some belief, and then the guy is giving 4 new agreements that you can actually live with to actually have a better and healthier life, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And what he explains, right, and that's what you were saying, that everything, when the way people behave is never about you, but it's always about others.
Exactly.
So this example of the gun is like, so something brought him here, and the way we live our life, but all of us on this planet, and this is really, really crazy when you think about it, it's like, we are all self-centered, you know?
Yeah.
And what he says is that this is for the worst and for the best, right? So if a guy is pointing a gun at you, this is about him. This is him that ends up in a situation where he thinks, he thinks, and that's him. He thinks that,
not you,
that pointing the gun at someone might, I don't know, bring his life forward.
Yeah.
But he also says the other way around, right? If someone tells you, gives you a compliment and tells you are doing so great, like I think he gives
he gives good examples as well.
The example of someone giving a gift.
Yeah.
When someone is giving you a gift, the guy think about it, man. When someone is giving you a gift, the fact of giving the gift is not about you. This is about the person. So this is a really selfish act when you think about it. You know, the guy is feeling great about being a good person giving gift.
Exactly.
But it's not so much about him or her wanting you to be happy. This is about like
you feeling also good about yourself.
Yeah.
That's why you cannot wait to give the gift to the person. I mean, because kind of you want the person to be happy. And until you told me this, I never realized this, you know, because I love giving gifts.
But I don't want to know that.
I didn't want to know this, you know. And I was like, every time I give a gift, I'm so excited to just see the person's face, like the eyes, like, you know, burning and like, you know, the stars and everything. you know, and it makes me feel good because I make this person also feel good,
Yeah.
right? But it's I mean
This is so rewarding.
it's so rewarding, right?
It's so rewarding, yeah.
And I mean, when we go into this, I mean, we gave this gun example, but I have a real life example, which is a crazy example. Me and Luke were talking about it like last week. It happened last week. So I go into this grocery store, and I'm just doing my groceries, you know, just
Bananas,
bananas,
buying some chicken or whatever thing,
some
you know.
oranges, whatever,
oranges,
you know,
yeah.
trying to be healthy.
Broccoli.
Broccoli, a lot of broccoli, spinach.
The spinach.
So I go do groceries, and then like this guy at the cashier, you know, he's like super unfriendly. But I was like, yeah, he's maybe just having a bad day, you know. He was friendly to me once, was friendly to me twice, unfriendly 3 times, 4 times. I'm like, damn, bro.
Why me?
Why me? Who did you wrong, you know? And like during those times that he was unfriendly, I was noticing that he was friendly to the other people who were also there, but just not to me, you know? Then I started questioning myself, could it be a race thing? Could he be racist and not just because I'm black? Okay, he's not really liking me just because I'm black. But then I was like, okay, I don't want to use this card. I want to be confronted with it, you know?
Yeah, you don't want, ideally, right, you don't want to believe this.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to believe this and use it against it, you know, as well.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm not going to use it, you know?
Maybe 5 times. When it was me, the guy became unhappy. You know?
Exactly.
You're trying to find a way.
Exactly. And the thing is that by unfriendly, I mean, he didn't even speak to me. He didn't even tell me like I get it. He doesn't need to greet me, but he didn't even tell me how much I needed to pay. He just looked at the screen, you know, and I looked at the screen too, so I knew how much I had to pay. Then I was like, yeah, I want to pay with card, and then like, thank you, bye, and there was no thank you, bye. He didn't even ask me he didn't ask me for the receipt and everything, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is weird, bro. You know, like
that's a lot.
That's a lot, you know. And then the people who were behind me or in front of me, he was like, "Hello, how you doing?" and everything. I was like, "Okay, that's a bit weird." So I was like, "Okay, let's test this. You know." So I take this guy in front of me, you know,
I get in.
the blonde guy, you know, and I'm like, "Okay, let's go together, do groceries, and let's see if he says something when I'm with Luke."
After the guy, you know, the guy has the fade, short hair, whitest guy of Vienna.
Whitest guy, blue eyes, you know.
You come to me.
You come right now,
to
bro.
Bila, you know.
Yeah. So I was like, we go together, and yeah. And I think you guys can guess what happened. Yeah, of course he talked to Luke.
The guy had a big smile, man.
Big smile, but when I was there, he didn't talk to me.
And this is really terrible also, you know. Oh man, you know, like for me, I got how do you say, overwhelmed with empathy.
Yeah.
It's like, as a white person in a white country, you don't face this you don't face racism.
Right. Yeah.
And I saw it in front of my eyes, you know. I was kind of, for a few seconds, I was feeling like I was in your shoes, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, when I go to Bila, like, I would basically, like, people are most of the time friendly to me, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm basically fitting in the box. Yeah. And I saw it, and you're like, fuck, man, like, this is, you know, what it means, like, on a daily basis, basically. Every time you go buy your damn fucking broccoli.
Yeah, you just go buy broccoli.
This guy is gonna bring potentially your mood down, right?
Exactly. But that's when the do not take things personally kicks in. And for me, I decided to be the better person. Of course, the first 2-3 times I was annoyed. I was like, bro, this is so unnecessary, you know? I'm just trying to do groceries. But then I was like, actually, I just remembered that thing from the book. I was like, actually, I shouldn't take it personally. Because actually, the way, it is not about me. It is about the way he is. It's about how he grew up. It's about the values he had. It's about the way he was domesticated, you know? He doesn't know better, and maybe he doesn't want to see better, you know? But that's him, and that's his life, you know? And I cannot change people, you know?
This is for me, like, this is really beautiful and crazy to think, to make this process.
Yeah.
that you made.
Yeah. It took years. I mean, like, you know, I still take things personally, of course, a lot of things, but it took years to reach
Because
this thing.
you know how high you are rising in my mind is like you are kind of what you do is that while the guy is mistreating you, you are gaining empathy for him. That's what you do. You are basically, you know, you were born in Mozambique, and you with all your history and facing this on a daily basis, you go and you are actually be putting yourself in his shoes, things that actually he doesn't do, and you are like, he has been educated this way, and this is really sad for him.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is, man, this is
until you reach this conclusion, man. It takes fighting a lot of things in your head.
But you said it took you years. But so before reading this book, you would have reacted to that, right?
I think before reading this book, I would have not reacted like in a physical way or like tell the person something, but I would have, of course, been, I think, more emotional and being like, this is unfair, this shouldn't be. It is unfair. I'm not saying it's not, you know, it is unfair, and you should always speak your word if you have it, you know. But for me, it's just like, before I would spend more energy on it, and nowadays I just don't care. I just don't spend the energy on it. I'm like, I cannot change this guy. Like, I want to buy my broccoli and get the fuck home. You know, like, I don't give a shit, you know. And I think, like, for me, this agreement of being like, don't take things personally, it just makes your life easier. It just makes you have more energy and spend energy on the things that you should be spending energy in, right? Because, like, why are you spending energy on these people? You cannot change people. You cannot control people, right?
Can I challenge what you say?
Yes.
So,
oh, hell no.
So, hell no, man. Too much. But like, I actually gave the book, you know, to this book that we talked about.
Yeah.
So to my mom, and she told me, yeah, actually things are kind of always a bit personal, you know. And of course, like, she wasn't so much agreeing with what the guy was saying in the book for whatever reason. But basically what she told me is that if we don't take things, I think it's a really good point, is like, if we don't take things personally, who are we, you know? Meaning in a way, and that's where I'm gonna start challenging you, is like, if you are actually, this is hard, huh? If you're actually accepting to live at peace with the fact that a guy is mistreating you because of your race, does it mean, how do you do to not feel guilty about it? How do you do to actually be like, okay, this isn't fair, I'm gonna actually put myself first and embrace the reality, without actually giving up on the fact that racism is unacceptable and we should actually fight for a better place.
Of course.
And what my mom told me is that if, for example, and I'm gonna take my French hat, you know, is, for example, at the Second World War, the French people didn't take it personal, then France wouldn't be here anymore, you know, there wouldn't have been this resistance and everything. And she told me that actually when you take it personal, it's triggering emotions. And this is kind of a good thing. This is a good thing, you know. If you get angry when something unfair happens to you, this is actually your body telling you something should be different.
Yeah, I mean, if this never happened, we wouldn't have the world today as well.
Yeah, yeah. At this point, yes.
Yeah, we wouldn't be sitting here, me and you.
But then, right? Then racism, like, I'm sure you have like a good opinion on this, because you have been facing it many and many times, and this is something really important, that basically the world is less racist.
Of
right?
course, yeah, of course.
And then how do you actually manage to deal with that? You know, like, to basically keep your peace while still actually keep fighting at the same.
I think the way I do that is because I still know that there are great people out there. You know, I mean, this guy is rotten, for example.
Yeah,
but you're not. You know.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
You are not rotten, you know.
Trying not to.
And you and many other people, like just so many people who are fighting for this cause and doing beautiful things, you know. So I try to see, like, of course, I don't take this particular example personally, because I can't change him, you know?
That's true.
And I can't control him,
That's true.
and I can't do anything about him, you know?
Because when you think about it, if you start telling him something, first, you are basically, he puts you in a position where he wouldn't even listen to you
Exactly.
because of his racism.
Exactly, yeah. I mean,
So what you think is that, if you see that you can make a change, then you would take the
I
opportunity.
would take the action, of course.
But if you see that you're just gonna waste your energy in there and fuck up your day,
Yeah.
then it's not worth it.
Then
right?
it's not worth it. What should I do? Go to another grocery store, walk 10 minutes more? I'm not saying I'm lazy. I mean, I could do that, you know.
But
But this is convenient, you know. It's around the corner.
yeah.
Like, am I gonna make a drama with him? Then every time I see him, I'm gonna...
And he will still be there
He
anyway.
will still be there anyways, you know. Like, so I think, like, if something happens in a public space and I see that it's not right, I'm gonna act on it. Of course, I'm not gonna be like, no, I don't take this personally, I'm gonna go home. Shut the fuck up, I'm gonna act on it, you know.
And you will
act on it, you know. But I think that's also the point of the point of the book. I mean, he's too extreme, but I think the point is, like, some things you just shouldn't take it personally, you know, but not everything. Just like you said, you know, it's also a good point, the one from your mom.
The thing is that for me, it's a lot about efficiency, you know, like when I see really successful people, for example, I don't know, I have someone at my work that is really, really, really effective in his work. And what I realized is that he has so many fights happening in front of him. He's a director, you know, he has so many fights happening in front of him, and he cannot take all of them. So the way he is actually prioritizing is which one is going to make the most impact. He knows how much energy he has per day, and he's like, yeah, this topic is fucking important to me, but if I take this fight, how much change can I actually make?
Yeah.
And then he's like, really little, for example, in some cases, and he's like, I'm so sorry, I agree, this is critical and important, but I'm not the right guy, or this is not the right time, or something like this, you know?
Yeah.
And then this guy is incredibly successful because he's focusing on his area of influence. It's like, I can make a change. This day today, what you said, like, there is racism in a public space and I can raise my voice and speak up.
Yeah.
You do it because you see that it will have an impact on society.
Exactly, yeah.
But this guy just trying to bother your day
and to poison my broccoli.
You're like, keep going, bro. What can I tell you, you know?
You cannot do anything about this guy, you know?
Yeah.
And that also reaches the other thing that we want to talk about today, which is acceptance, you know? At some point, you just need to accept that some things are the way they are. You shouldn't accept everything, of course. It shouldn't be like, I accept everything that happens to me. But at some point, I think reaching acceptance is one of the best things you can do in your life.
And more than, this is one of the best things, and this is one of the super important step, I think. If you don't accept, then you're going to act on something that your vision of reality will be different than what things are. And then you will act on something that is different than what things are. And then you're not going to actually make the change on the reality, and then I don't think it's gonna last.
It's not gonna last, because at the end of the day, you need to accept how things are, you know. And I think, like, that also has to do with, you know, when you break up with someone, you know, you leave a relationship, or, like, I don't know, your friend betrayed you, or whatever happened, you know. The fastest way to be better with yourself is to reach acceptance.
This is the last stage, by the way.
It's the last stage, right?
Of the 5 stages of grief.
Of grief, really? Yeah. It's so important, man.
But this is, I think the hardest.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the hardest thing when you talk about acceptance is to accept without giving up. You know, because this is easy to be like, fuck that shit, you know? But then you kind of give up. Okay, then basically you throw the thing away and you just remove it from your...
But you didn't accept it, right? It's like, fuck that shit, and I don't want to think about it.
Yeah,
right?
And this is kind of a trap. But managing to accept it and to embrace a reality that is tough sometimes.
Yeah.
And still having the willingness to make things better is um is a real skill, I think. Or I don't know how to actually describe it.
Yeah.
But to
It's a good skill. I mean, it's not easy though, but it's something I've been trying to master as well, just to try to accept, my surroundings and the positions I'm in. And I think the best way to reach acceptance is, okay, something happens to you, and then you're like, okay, how am I going to deal with this? The way you're going to deal with that problem, you would deal with a problem some way because you have your perspective. I would deal it another way because I have my perspective, but you just need to find a way that you deal with that problem, and you deal it with a way that you can accept it, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, we all have problems. We all have things that happen in our life, but it's just the way you deal with them that actually makes you happier or more frustrated or more sad. Or
and what is the way then to deal with them that you can accept?
Depends. I think it depends a lot on whatever problem you have.
Okay, but you said frustrated. So in a way that you will get frustrated, or you won't get frustrated, or you will be sad or not sad.
For me, I would always rather not be frustrated, not be sad.
Yeah,
I mean everyone.
Yeah,
but
there is a deep belief behind this, no? Like what is actually driving your decision? Why? Because so many people will say, "Oh, this is so selfish," but is it really selfish? I don't think it is.
What is selfish?
Like to say, I would rather not get frustrated. For example, the guy at Bila is acting in a way that is inappropriate to you.
Yeah.
And by not reacting to it and being like, oh, I just want to keep my day flowing, then people could say, oh, but this is super selfish. What do you say about all the other people suffering from the racism?
Yeah.
But I think you have a deep belief behind that. Like what makes you think, okay, actually the best action now is to not get frustrated, because you said it's not worth it, but also I don't know. What's the driver? I think what you think behind, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is I have to act based on what's true and right for me. Right?
That's a good question, bro. I didn't even reach that conclusion myself.
because I think you stay true to yourself, and then now I'm kind of talking about myself. Is like when you stay true to yourself, then if you will have a good day, then right? You don't react. You stay true to what's good for you, and you will have a good day. And the reality is that if you fuck up your day because of this idiot, then you won't have. This guy will take and drain your energy.
Yeah.
And you won't have the positive impact that you have on others.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes. I think that's so true. I decide to not take things in that I think they're not worth my energy. That's it. That's how I reach acceptance.
Yeah.
And with this case, for example, and with many other cases, I felt like if this is not worth my energy, why should I even think about it? Why should I even care about these things? Whereas with other people, they would probably take this in a lot and it would drain them. But I think I reached that point because I got drained out of taking things personally and not accepting things the way they are.
And things were still here.
And they were still here, Things were still
regardless, but your day was fucked.
Exactly, my day was fucked.
Or you're weak, or you're even more.
And I'm not saying that you should just ignore everything. That's not what I do. I don't ignore everything around me. I also take things personally and everything and not accept some things as well. But the easiest way is just take things in that are worth taking in. If you don't think this is worth taking in, and if you're why, brother? Just leave it. Sometimes you're the better person if you just leave it, and I think you grow more from that. I think I grew a lot from that, know.
You know what I see is I think it requires so much confidence to act the way you acted in the situation you described. Because managing to let things go while this is something that has been affecting you for your whole life, it requires to have so much confidence in life, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Meaning, and respect for that.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning,
Thank you.
but I mean it, because you said, yeah, this is not worth my energy, but if one day I have an opportunity to actually make a change, I will take it and I will make it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that right now is not the right time. So you're not gonna jump on, basically just follow your emotions and your trigger. You're just gonna let it flow, and you are waiting for your time, basically, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
And this
That's so
means
true.
that you have such a strong belief that you are optimist about life, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like you have such a strong belief that now is not the right time, but the right time will come, and then I'm gonna be there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, I have to be alive. I have to preserve my energy to actually make impact on the other great things that need to be changed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, man,
That's a great realization, bro. I didn't even know that myself.
me neither.
I mean,
Me
man,
neither.
this podcast, you're finding everything
yeah.
about yourselves.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah.
but this
That's
is funny
actually cool.
because for me, like, I've been like also reading this book. You know, you are aware of this stuff. You know, you are aware. You've been reading this book. I don't know, but you guys, like, this book is not long. How many pages? It's
Like it's like 70.
70 pages.
70 pages.
It's worth it, huh?
It's worth it. Sponsor us.
What's the name? I forgot the name of the author.
I forgot the name of the author too, but this guy, he knew what he was talking about.
Even though you read this chapter and you know what it says, man, sometimes when things are really close to you, man, I fall back. I'm not gonna.
Your brain is foggy.
I'm not gonna
man.
lie, you know. I'm like, yeah, you need confidence in life and everything, bro. My confidence is getting smashed. You know? Man,
I think the biggest message we can pass on to the people listening as well is that, you know, we say all these things, but we're also normal people, you know? Like everything we say is like lessons that we learn, that we keep learning, and we would like to share with everyone else who's also gonna go through these stages in life, because this is life. This happens to everyone, right?
it's all right. Yeah.
This is something that happens to everyone. But we're humans as well, and like this is like, yeah, I mean, like for us it happens also the whole time. We forget this, we forget that. Then I had to read this book again, you know.
You took it personal. You're like, man, give me this book again,
Right?
huh?
And like I write also on my phone. I'm like, I have a note that it's like my, how should I call it? My to-do list, my to-do energy list, you know?
Yeah.
And like there I have one of the most powerful quotes that I love from books or podcasts or from everything, you know? And these quotes just stay there. And one of them is like, get to acceptance as fast as you can. And another one is like, you cannot control people. You cannot even control what's going to happen in 5 minutes. You can only control what's happening now, you know? So like, man, just control yourself and control your arms, you know? Don't control others, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In one of the books I read about, you cannot, how did you say it? You cannot control people, is the guy is explaining that about change and people changing over time.
Yeah.
The way it works is actually a gate, but with a handle only on one side. So you cannot open a door without a handle, but the only thing you can do on this damn fucking door is you can knock.
Yeah.
And the guy who is on the other side of the door is gonna decide to open the door or not. If he opens the door, then okay, it means that he is agreeing and ready to change, and let's go. But if the guy is actually, you can knock as many times as you want, right? If the guy is just not here or not waiting at the door or behind the door, he's just not gonna hear you, you know?
Ah, true. Yeah.
And then you see it like this. And I think this is really great in the sense that for me, you know, this, you cannot control people or you cannot change people. For me, that was really having kind of a negative impact on me because I was getting hopeless. You know, I was feeling in this, falling in this hopelessness because you're like, okay, but if all the people around me are the way they are, then and the world is, for example, suffering from wars, racism, and all the flaws you can find on this planet, then what's my role even if you cannot make any impact? And I don't think that's true. I think you can make a change, but exactly what you said, you sometimes there are times where you will be effective in making this change on a public place where the person is actually ready to hear you, listen to you, is open to your ideas, and so sometimes you just can't, right?
Sometimes you put your AirPods in and
blinders on,
blinders on,
and you just look forward because this is the best thing you can do, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And this is, I think, really hard to actually evaluate this.
Yeah, to master this
on the moment.
Yeah.
When this happens to you and the guy is treating you like shit, you are like, yeah,
man,
you are going for meditation.
But I think, like, for me, like, I came across all these things, I think, like 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years, you know, and I'm still mastering, you know. So just to say that these things take time, you know, and sometimes you forget them. It takes time to master all these things and to understand that people are the way they are because they were educated that way, because they saw it like that at home, or they have their own experiences. It is not about you. It is not about
we
you.
like to think
we
so.
like to think we have this ego, like it's about me. It's because I'm wearing nice shoes.
Yeah.
You know, no one cares about your shoes, you know, like it is not about you. You buy your shoes, you care about your shoes, you know, because, like, you know, just think about yourself.
But this is comfortable. We like to feel important, you know.
Yeah, we like to feel like we are, you know, appetitive fruit.
Really appetitive, sweet.
Appetitive sweet fruit, you know.
Yeah, but we all want to be like this, you know?
Exactly. But I think one of the biggest lessons as well is on the perspective side is to not make assumptions as well about things.
Why wouldn't you?
Because why wouldn't I make assumptions?
Yeah.
I mean, I always make assumptions.
That's it.
That's it. Next episode.
That's the solution.
Because, yeah, of course, you always make assumptions because you have your perspective, you have your ways of thinking. So if someone does something, if someone acts some way, you're always going to make an assumption. Like, this person acted like this, probably because of this. But actually, if you go and talk to that person, they're going to be like, yeah, I didn't act like that because of that. Actually, it's just because I was not in the mood, or I was thinking about something else, right? It is not because someone acts a certain way that it necessarily means that what you're thinking about them is right, right? So, like, the making assumptions thing, I think, is such a powerful thing.
I think there is an interesting mechanism behind it, because as humans, we don't like when there is void, right? And when we don't know something about what someone would think or something like this, man, the first thing we want to feel complete. We want to feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And we're going to fill this void with assumptions.
Exactly. And your brain needs... The problem is your brain needs to be... your brain is so rational, right? So your brain always needs to find answers to everything. Your brain is like, no, this needs to make sense. This needs to make sense. This needs to make sense. Sometimes things don't make sense.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Accept it.
We want to know everything. We want to control everything. We want to go to control the universe. Once we are controlling planet Earth, and we want to go to the next planet because we want to know what's going to happen to us.
Exactly, yeah. You're always making assumptions, but actually just don't make the assumptions. If someone was rude to you today, dear followers.
For sure someone was.
Someone was rude. Someone.
Find this guy.
Find this guy. Don't make assumptions. This person's just having a bad day, maybe, or that's just the way he is, or that's like...
You're making assumptions.
You know?
I think what he explains...
This is hard, bro.
I think what he explains in the book is that assumptions take you away from the truth, right? It's like when you make assumptions, you are like, feeling the void, feeling the hole of things that you don't get yet. And then you're going to create stories to actually...
Yeah, you manufacture stories that are not true.
And that really often convenient to what you want to... the way you want to face it.
The one you want to face it.
And that's reinforcing your perspective and taking you away from the truth that is, why did this guy talk to you like shit? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think like you said, the point is that you manufacture a lot of stories that are 90% not true, but you just assume. It's like the same, I don't know, at work your boss is like, I want to talk to you tomorrow. Look,
Man.
You know, man. Tum, 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 you
The
know?
thoughts, man. Are flying.
3,000 thoughts. You're not gonna sleep at night. You're gonna think this. You're gonna think this. You're gonna think that. Your boss or your partner. We need to talk. But you start thinking about 6,000 things. You know, you get anxiety, stress. You go through a whole emotional roller coaster, and all of the things you were thinking about were not even true.
Yeah.
Basically. 90% of the
Yeah.
things you were thinking about were not true.
And
They don't
10%
exist.
were different.
Exactly.
They were
And
not-
then-
they were different.
And then the person is like, I actually just wanted to have a coffee with you, Luke, you know?
Yeah.
And, right?
And I think that basically the way of dealing with assumptions is like when you are tempted to make assumptions, then the healthy way of dealing with it is like, okay, I actually need to have a conversation with the person. You know, this is like instead of actually making movies and starting to literally freak out, because when you start imagining of the bad things that could happen,
You always imagine the worst scenario.
man, because you are. I think this is your survival instinct, right?
Right? Why we always think about the worst, you know? Like,
Man, because it wasn't easy back in the day. I say, man, when you are like having to escape the nature, you know, like,
yeah, you cooked, man.
yeah, and then you're gonna start thinking, oh, my girlfriend is gonna maybe break up with me, or my boss is gonna fire me, all
Yeah.
the worst things, you know.
That's the first thing that comes to you. When your doctor calls you, you know? Like, why would my doctor call me?
The call of the doctor, you know. You're like,
Exactly. And maybe it's just like, maybe you need a checkup, you know, just a yearly checkup.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is this guy calling me, bro? Why would my doctor ever call me, you know?
pick up, by the way, if it's the doctor.
Yeah, pick up, man, because it's something.
You want to know the truth,
You
bro.
want to know the truth, man. And it's like, for example, when I do like this blood test, you know, and things like that, then my head is like, hey, man, maybe I messed up on something. Maybe I messed up on something. Like a few months ago, I was very sick because of the flu, you know, and the flu is affecting all of us right now as well and everything. I was so sick. I was sick for 3 weeks. I don't know which virus is walking around this fucking door.
Flying around.
It's flying, you know. I was so sick, you know, that I had like 39 degrees of fever. And, you know, like I never have fever. Last time I had 39 degrees of fever, I was a child, I think. It was when I was a child or something. Man, I had this fever. I was in bed. I was like, is this my last day on earth? You know?
Questioning everything.
Man, you're shaking, you know, all your thoughts, you're making 6,000 assumptions, you know.
Sweating,
You're like,
man.
it's for sure that night that I didn't sleep. That's why I feel bad.
It's
you know?
yeah. I
know?
didn't eat broccoli.
I didn't eat broccoli, you know. I ate that processed meat. It was the McDonald's.
For sure,
you know?
for sure.
It was the McDonald's.
The whole world is against you.
Exactly. And I just want to sleep, brain. Let me sleep. You know,
for the
it's
love
not
of
gonna
God.
help if I'm trying to think about 6,000 things.
Yeah.
And then my doctor, you know, I go to the doctor and everything, and he tells me, yeah, Raul, I was better, you know. He was like, yeah, but just to be sure, we're gonna check your heart. And I was like, why do you want to check my heart?
Yo.
Yo, you know. I was like, why do you want to check my heart? It's like, no, it's just procedure, just to be sure, because you were very sick, you know, you do sports and everything. And I was like, okay, you know, we can check my heart, fine, you know. And then like we go inside the room, he puts all these things on me, you know, he checks my heart. So like, yeah, it looks good, you know, but we still need to do something. We need to do a blood test to see if your heart is fine, to see if you have no heart injury and all of that. And I was like, okay, you know. And I kept asking him, like, am I good? You know?
Man, for real.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, no, you're fine. You're completely fine. But in the back of your head, it's like, my brother, if I'm fine, why are you checking all these things on me?
Assumptions were flying, right?
And then I had to go do that blood test. And the blood test, the results would only come in 2 days after that day.
Oh my God, man.
Man, I went through so many scenarios in my head.
Movies.
Movies.
Did you release a movie or?
No.
Man, you can.
It would have been such a good movie, man, if I really...
A lot of things
I
happened.
produced it. I had actors in the movie. I paid. I had like, I was thinking. I was like, oh my days, I'm so young and my heart is broken.
My heart. Because of a flu.
Because of a fucking flu.
What am I gonna say to whoever?
Whoever. I was like, a fucking flu. I was thinking. Man, these 48 hours were the longest 48 hours of my life, you know?
Horrible, man.
I couldn't study. I was at work and I was always thinking, I was like, man, what if my heart is bad? What if this? What if this? I had so many thoughts. At the end,
No.
everything was fine, of course, you know.
Of
Everything
course.
was perfect. Then you're
Oh,
like, oh my days, man. The amount of assumptions I made in my head,
You could have saved energy, man.
like 99% were fake.
This is-
Everything was just fake. You know?
This is so hard, man.
It never came to my head to be like, yeah, it's actually gonna be fine. It came, but it was like 1% of it, you know?
1% of what?
1% of my head was like, it's actually gonna be fine. You're
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
The 99 was all the stories, and they'll be like, if it was fine, he wouldn't check on you, right? You know?
Yeah.
But it's just the whole point is like, I spent a lot of energy on this, which was unnecessary, you know? I barely slept those days as well. And it's just like, it is a hard thing to do, of course, you know? But it's just like, just let it be.
Yeah, what? Yeah, what is then? But what would you do different? Would you do it different now?
I think now, easier
Be
said,
honest. Be honest.
easier said than done. Way easier said than done. I think now I would be like, okay, you know, it's just a procedure. It's just the way it is. Let's focus on other things, you know. Let's focus on other things that are important now. You know, life is going on. Whatever the result is, you cannot know the result until it comes.
It's time to enjoy, man.
You know, just enjoy whatever is happening now, be in the moment, and like the result is in the future. You don't know, you know.
And whether results are here, new inputs, and then you deal with it.
Exactly. So don't make assumptions about this result. Don't assume anything. When you get it, and that's it.
But these 2 days are cooking you, man.
I was cooked. I was fried.
You know what? What I think is that, for example, in relationships, really often when there is a confusion, I'm so grateful that I can actually call the person and be like, "What happened? Why did you do this? Or what can we do?" You know?
Yeah.
And then that makes it immediately like you can get rid of the assumptions that you are starting to make.
Exactly.
And then that gets healthy immediately. But man, when you have to wait 2 days, you cannot call them and be like, "Man, give me my fucking results." You know?
My days! Can you imagine? You have a fight with your girlfriend, and then
you have to wait 2 days.
You have to wait 2 days
because what? She has no battery or she has no internet.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know.
You freak the fuck.
Imagine back in the day, you're sending a letter mad. You know, our grandparents.
Assumptions.
You did this to me, and then until you get the next letter in 1 week. When your brain is getting cooked, you know, is jumping.
This is really hard. I think this is normal, natural, but what he explains is that it's not healthy for you.
Yeah,
it's healthy for no one.
It's healthy for no one.
It never made anything better to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, don't make assumptions on anything. That's what he says. On the result of your exam, even if your exam like at uni was not good, you know. Don't make assumptions about it. Just let it come.
You don't know, man. You don't know.
You don't know, man.
Maybe you performed.
Maybe this was the one. Most likely not.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest lesson, I think, from it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is great. And I think this is actually for me, I also struggle with that. It's like, for example, at work, it's like, when at work you always have limited availability from people. Exactly with the same scenario as you.
Yeah.
You had to wait 2 days and you couldn't do anything to make this 2 days shorter.
Yeah.
And so at some point then you give up and you wait, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But then at work this is the same, you know, like the guy he's really busy, he drops a meeting with you in 1 week. And man, for a week, you have to shift gears, you know?
You have to shift gears.
You read the chapter 1 time, 2 times, 3 times.
You're going to have a 6-pack on your forehead, man. You're going to have a 6-pack there, man.
There is smoke getting out.
There's smoke, everything. You're making us up. And like we say, you know, we also do it, you know?
Yeah.
Still today.
But that helps a lot to read this, to understand.
It helps to have it in the back of your head, you know?
And to unbuild it. To unbuild that.
Yeah. Then you can kind of sleep like more in peace. Then I'm like, I'm just making assumptions, you know?
Once in a while in the night you are.
Once in a while the eye, you know,
thinking about the heart or whatever.
Exactly. But then it's like, it's just the assumptions, and it's just don't think about it, you know?
Yeah.
You're better than this.
Yeah. And just to kind of maybe close it, is like the last chapter. So there are 4 chapters, and the last chapter is basically always do your best. Mm-hmm. So based on the fact that assumptions are not gonna make it better. And you shouldn't basically take things personally. What he says is that you should just do everything you can at any point in time, and that's all you can do, basically, right?
That's all you can do.
That's what he says, and I think this is really healthy.
Yeah, I think this is such a strong way to also live your life and to understand that it's all about perspective. Everything is about perspective, and to understand that there is no right and wrong. There is perspective about things, because I think when you also you always try to be right,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you think, okay, this is wrong, so I'm trying to be right, but sometimes it's just about the perspective. You, in your perspective, because you grew up that way, you were with the people around you also think that way. You think this is wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
for someone, this is right.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Otherwise, this person wouldn't do that.
Exactly. You know.
But it requires, I think, a lot of trust in people. You know, trust in somehow humanity in human nature. The fact that, man, this guy is fucked up, or he's, for example, really racist, but you kind of manage to think that his way of thinking is coming from somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's coming from somewhere.
And that he's not
in
doing
his-
that to hurt you, but just because he has been raised like this.
He's been raised like this.
But you kind of trust him on the fact that if he does it like this, if he could do it better, he would do it better, right?
If he was raised differently as well and everything. And I'm not saying that what he does is not is right. It's fucking wrong. Of course,
It's wrong, brother.
It's fucking wrong.
If you listen
if
to
you're
us,
listening to this,
it's wrong.
wrong. It's fucking wrong.
But yeah,
But essentially, what I mean in the right and wrong is like when you have also arguments with your friends or with your partners, you know. I think when you have arguments with your partners, it's always hard to see through, you know. You always want to be right and you want to push your partner to understand your point and to push it to your point. But you need to understand that your partner also has a different perspective than you.
Yep.
So your partner is also going to think different than you.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that he's wrong or she's wrong or whatever, you know. It means that, yeah, this is just their perspective, you know. And it doesn't mean that you are right or that you're wrong. It just means that that's your perspective. So yeah, I think the biggest message we want to pass on is, yeah, everyone has their own perspective,
their own truth,
you know. And at the end of the day, we kind of need to accept it. Don't take it personally.
because it's here.
Don't make assumptions. And try to make the best out of it.
Live better, live in peace with that, you know?
Live in peace, my brother, man.
Yeah. This is a really fundamental beliefs, I think.
Yeah. Very hard. Easier said than done.
But yeah, hope you guys find value in that.
I really hope you guys find value.
For us, it helped us a lot.
For us, it's still helping us.
Man, thank God, man.
We had this conversation yesterday night.
Yeah,
Literally, we talked about this.
Yeah.
But guys, by the way, thank you so much for the new followers.
Yeah. Now, how many?
How many now?
16?
16?
Maybe 17.
Maybe 17. I don't know.
Now we are flying.
We're flying, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
And this is
Planet Earth.
Yeah.